In our previous lesson, we have already understood the meaning of latitudes. Latitudes are imaginary horizontal lines drawn on a globe. So, these are latitudes. Now, as you can see from the picture, the latitudes are complete circles. See, this is a circle and this is a latitude. Again, this is another circle and this is another latitude. So, latitudes are complete circles except the two poles, the north pole and other one the south pole. Except these two poles, that is the north pole and south pole, all the other latitudes are complete circles. Now, if you carefully look at this picture, you will find that the size of latitudes varies. That is, the latitudes are of unequal sizes. See, this latitude is smaller than this one. Again, this latitude is bigger than this one. So, the latitudes are of unequal sizes. I just mentioned that the size of latitudes varies. In fact, the size of latitude decreases as one moves from the equator towards the poles. See, the equator is the longest circle, and as you move from the equator towards the poles, the size of each latitude decreases. In fact, the poles minimizes to just a single point. Now, why does the size of each latitude varies? The size of each latitude varies due to spherical shape of the earth. Since our earth is a sphere, so it is wider or bulging at the equator and it tapers as we move towards the poles. So, due to spherical shape of the earth, the size of each latitude varies. Thus, we can say that equator is the longest circle and poles are just points. So, due to spherical shape of the earth, the equator is the longest or the largest latitude, while poles diminishes to a single point. Now, since equator is the longest circle, it is known by other name. Do you know what? We know equator divides the earth into northern and southern hemisphere. Now, if we open the globe along the equator, then we will get to see a circle that lies in a plane which contains point C, that is the center of the earth. This is known as the Great Circle. Now, if we further divide the earth to the north and south of the Great Circle, then we will get small circles. A circle whose plane does not lie at point C, that is the center of the earth. So, in this video, we can further see that equator is the only latitude that lies in the orbital plane which contains the center of the earth, while rest of the latitudes like latitude A and latitude B does not lie at the orbital plane. So, equator is the only great circle, while rest of the latitudes are small circles. Well, can you tell me how many lines of latitudes are there in total? Well, we know latitudes are angular distance of a point north or south of the equator. Now, the angular distance of the north pole from the equator will be 90 degree. Again, the angular distance of the south pole from the equator will be 90 degree. So, taking equator or 0 degree line of latitude as the base, if we draw the other lines of latitudes at an interval of 1 degree, then starting from 0, we will have 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, 4 degree, and likewise we can draw up till 90 degree. So there will be 90 lines of latitudes in the northern hemisphere and again 90 lines of latitudes in the southern hemisphere. So how many latitudes are there in total? Well, there are 90 lines of latitudes in the northern hemisphere and 90 lines of latitudes in the southern hemisphere. Well, again equator itself is another line of latitude. So we will consider the equator as well. So if you add this up, you will get the total number of latitudes that we have in a globe. So there are 90 latitudes in the northern hemisphere, 90 latitudes in the southern hemisphere, and equator is at the center. So there are total 181 lines of latitudes in a globe. We will now study how latitudes are numbered. Well, to number the latitudes, we take equator as the base. We know the equator is numbered as 0 degree. Now, taking equator as the base, we either move northwards or southwards. Now, let us imagine that we are numbering the latitudes at an interval of 10 degree. So, if this is 0 degree, then this latitude will be 10 degree. Now, since we are in the northern hemisphere, so we will add suffix n after this 10 degree. Now, again if we move 10 degree more, then this latitude will be numbered as 20 degree north, and yn because this latitude is in the northern hemisphere. Now, similarly, if we move southwards, then this latitude will be numbered as 10 degree, and since this latitude is in the southern hemisphere, so a suffix s is added to it. Proceeding 10 degree more, we will have 20 degree south, where s signifies that this latitude belongs to the southern hemisphere. So this is how the latitudes are numbered. Well, generally latitudes are numbered at an interval of 1 degree. But here we have numbered the latitudes at an interval of 10 degree just for our own convenience. So now have a look at this globe. In this globe we have numbered the latitudes at an interval of 10 degree. So starting from the equator, if we move 10 degree northwards, then we will have 10 degree north latitude. After that we will have 20 degree north latitude, then 30 degree north latitude, and if finally we reach to the poles, then we will have 90 degree north latitude, where 90 degree north latitude signifies the north pole. Now similarly, if we move 10 degree southwards, we will have 10 degree south latitude. Then again we will have 20 degree S, then we will have 30 degree S, and finally if we move to the south pole, we will have 90 degree south, where 90 degree S signifies the south pole. So this is how the latitudes are numbered. We generally take equator as the base measurement and we mark equator as 0 degree. Then taking equator as the base, we either move northwards or southwards. The latitudes are usually marked at an interval of 1 degree, but here we have marked the latitudes at an interval of 10 degree just for our own convenience. The latitudes are numbered in ascending order, that is from 10, then 20, then 30, and finally if you reach North Pole, you will mark it as 90 degree. Again, the suffix n is added if the latitudes belong to the northern hemisphere, and a suffix s is added if the latitudes belong to the southern hemisphere. Now, if you carefully look at this picture, you will find that the distance between two consecutive lines of latitudes are the same. That is, this distance is equal to this distance and same as this distance. So, the distance or the gap between two consecutive lines of latitude is the same in both the hemispheres. So, we can also say that the latitudes are equidistant from each other. But how much is the distance between two consecutive lines of latitudes? We shall now calculate the distance. Well, if you know the circumference of the earth is 40,000 kilometer, and also since the earth is a sphere, we can say that the circumference of the earth is 360 degrees. So, we can say that 360 degrees corresponds to 40,000 kilometer, as both these represents the circumference of the earth. So, once again 360 degree is equal to 40,000 kilometer, as both these figures represents the earth's circumference. Now, if 360 degree is equal to 40,000 kilometer, then how much is 1 degree? Well, 1 degree would be equal to 40,000 divided by 360. So, if you divide 40,000 by 360, you will get 111. So, 1 degree corresponds to 111 kilometer. So, as I have mentioned earlier, 1 degree equals to 111 kilometer. Now, if you remember, I mentioned that the latitudes are drawn at an interval of 1 degree. So, the distance between 1 degree north latitude and 2 degree north latitude will be of 1 degree, or the distance between these two lines of latitudes will be 111 kilometer, as 1 degree corresponds to 111 kilometer. So, as I have just mentioned, the distance between two consecutive latitudes is 111 kilometer. Thus, the lines of latitudes are equidistant and the distance between them is constant, and it is equal to 111 kilometer. Now, since the distance between two consecutive lines of latitude is constant and it's equal to 111 kilometer, so the latitudes are also known as parallels. And why they are known as parallels? They are known as parallels because the distance between two consecutive lines of latitude always remains constant and two lines of latitudes never intersects. So, the lines of latitudes are also known as parallels. Now, before we proceed with our lesson, can you help me to answer this? The distance between two consecutive latitudes is it equal to 111 kilometer? Is it equal to 121 kilometer, or 222 kilometer, or 100 kilometer? Well, the correct answer is 111 kilometer. We just calculated that the distance between two consecutive lines of latitude is 111 kilometer. Now, you can also calculate the distance of a place from the equator if you know the latitude of that place. Well, Kolkata is situated on a latitude of 22.5 degree north. So now let us calculate the distance of Kolkata from the equator. Well, we know that the distance between two consecutive lines of latitude is 111 kilometer. Or we can also say that 1 degree, which is the gap between two consecutive latitude, is 1 degree, which corresponds to 111 kilometer. So if 1 degree is equal to 111 kilometer, then the distance between 22.5 degree north and the equator will be equal to 22.5 into 111. This is equal to 2497.5 kilometer. So the distance between Kolkata and a place on equator is 2497.5 kilometer. So this is how we calculate the distance of a place from the equator. Well, we already know the meaning of latitude. Let us now quickly summarize the characteristics of latitudes. Latitude is the angular distance of a point north or south of the equator. So if this is the equator, then latitude is nothing but the angular distance of a point north or south of the equator. That is, if this angular distance is 30 degree, then this line of latitude will be 30 degree north. And again, if this is 30 degree, then this latitude will be 30 degree south. The second characteristic of latitude is that they are parallel lines and they run from west to east. See, in this globe we can see that the latitudes are parallel lines and they run from west to east. Since the latitudes are parallel to each other, so the distance between two consecutive lines of latitude remains the same and it is equal to 111 kilometer. So we can also say that the latitudes are equidistant from one another. Again, the size of latitudes decreases as one moves from the equator towards the poles. This happens due to spherical shape of the earth. So the equator is the great circle, or it is the longest circle, and the North Pole and South Pole are just points. There are 181 latitudes in total. We know equator is at the center of the globe and it is one important line of latitude, and apart from the equator there are 90 lines of latitudes in the northern hemisphere and 90 lines of latitudes in the southern hemisphere. So in total there are 181 lines of latitudes. So in today's video we understood the different characteristics of latitudes. The different characteristics of latitudes are mentioned here. You can pause the video and have a look at different characteristics. In our next video, we will discuss about the important lines of latitudes. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. You can also register for free at DeltaStep.com or download the DeltaStep app to learn one-to-one with our amazing teachers or to get access to our 5,000 amazing videos as per your school syllabus. Master each topic with our adaptive practice technology. Get million-plus questions with step-by-step solutions and unlimited mock tests. Get all your doubt resolved instantly. Learn via games and win amazing prizes like PlayStations and iPads. So at DeltaStep, learning is not just fun and easy, but it's rewarding too. So register for free now.